Right, so good evening. Welcome to the April Parish Council meeting. Our apologies for the postponement of a week. Two of us were away and three of us were ill, which meant we didn't have our quorum. In fact, Kay wasn't very well either.
I was going to come though.
That would have left Darren all alone to make the decisions on behalf of the parish. And heaven knows what the consequences would have been. Tonight we've got the usual reports from the Clerk, Ward Councillor, on the new city plan. There's a file note on that, and the Cosgrove Furtho Pit development. There are 6 planning applications. There's approval of building conditions at the station yard, which actually Milton Keynes have now approved, so that one's happened. Our own discharge and conditions for a cycle rack at the Pavilion, which has been there for over 6 weeks now, and I don't think a single cycle has ever been attached to it. There we go. 2 applications for the development of number 44 and 45, the Chequers, which I thought we had commented on, but we'll come back to that. A resubmission of an extension at 57 Thrupp Close, as the previous application was refused. And a pre-application by 2 water authorities to move water between their areas using the Grand Union Canal, which I'm not really quite sure what we're going to say about that, but there we go. The resolutions tonight are firstly to raise residents' concerns about the appointment service at Hanslope Surgery, to consider further parking bays in South Street, to agree the lighting of a beacon for the BE 80th commemoration on the 8th of May, to give the cricket club permission to remove part of the beach hedge in the sports ground at their cost to improve viewing of the cricket. And as well as approving the usual payment schedule, there's a part 2 to which the public are excluded to consider quotes for the village sign cleaning, which we try to do every year. New notice boards outside the village hall, and the purchase of a litter bin at the sports ground, for which we received a match funding grant from Milton Keynes Council. The next meeting is 7 o'clock on Monday, the 12th of May. I say 7 o'clock, and the reason for that is because it's really effectively 3 meetings, and hopefully 2 of them will be very short. The first is the annual parish meeting, where I will give a report to the village on what's happened in the last year, and any other resident may present, for example, their club or organisation, and residents may ask questions or indeed propose resolutions. The second part is the annual meeting of the council, where we elect the chair and vice chair and allocate responsibilities to councillors for the new year. And then finally, we have our normal ordinary meeting, as it's called. And so because of that extra business, we will be starting the meeting at 7 o'clock. And again, if you could note, it's the 12th of May, because the 5th is actually a bank holiday. So, first of all, open forum. Anything to raise? You'll wait a moment. Yeah. Okay, so moving into the meeting itself, we've just got apologies from Ian by way of illness. Declarations of interest that councillors Aylesford and Bradbury are directors of Castlethorpe Community Space CIC, and Councillor Else is the director of Castlethorpe Village Shop Association, but these are personal interests. And I don't actually think we've got any relevant agenda items in. Oh, we have, yes, in the purchase of the litter bin. I will need to declare that. That's 13.3. Right. Any other declarations of interest?
You say you're declaring on your position.
Well, it's a personal interest. I mean, the 3 of us are all there, so I think I will have to introduce it.
Well, if you're declaring interest, then so is Russell and myself.
Yeah, I think so, yes. Right. Minutes of the previous meeting of the 3rd of March. Are there any matters of accuracy, omission that anyone would like to raise? In that case, can I have a proposer, which is Russell, and a seconder, which is Darren, and all in favour? Yeah. Can I sign those minutes, please? Right, clerk's report and review of actions. So, first of all, the first 5 items are just for information. And items 6 to 12 are outstanding matters. Anyone got any matters to raise under those points?
The 10, the community speak watch, I think they're in progress on 5%.
We thought we had, but it turned out we hadn't.
Yeah.
And lady, so no, the short answer is no.
Could we maybe put something on Facebook asking them?
Didn't we say we were going to do that?
I thought we
Yeah.
did.
Okay. Any other items?
Just generally, what's the situation regarding all the hints and signs regarding the castle?
Haven't really got any update for that. We need to get the plinth framed. I was waiting for some money to come in. So yeah, we can start making progress because it's due tomorrow.
Okay. And anything on items 13 to 17, which are the carried forward items? I think they're all moving very slowly, if at all. Is there any movement, do you happen to know, Steve, about the swale at Carrington Grove?
I've kind of lost track of what's happening with that. They did cut it a while ago, but I don't think they've cut it for a good while now.
Yeah.
After that,
I went down there a couple of days ago. It looked quite.
Have they?
Cutting
they've
some
come
there.
fairly. I mean, it is on some sort of schedule to be cut.
I don't know if it's the actual swale,
Okay.
But I'll go and have a look. But I mean, you can't reach anyone there.
Yeah.
I've tried a few times to find the right person to speak to, and been unsuccessful. But they have cut it a couple of times. And
Well, if it's been cut and it appears to be
Yeah,
scheduled, then yeah.
Can we take off the Carrington Arms on now? Now they're doing some, or do all of you on there until they start action?
This is the,
The heritage
Right.
people monitoring.
so,
No,
yes, the
it's
Carrington Arms, I mean, we've reported, did we report on this last meeting? I can't remember now. Okay, so it has been sold. The purchaser, who happens to be related to somebody in the village, did invite councillors to meet with him. I think it was Steve, you and I, wasn't? No, you couldn't make it. Russell.
I could make it.
Dave,
Dave,
that's right. Dave and I met with him. He's basically exploring with Milton Keynes Council planning
yeah.
what the options are, and also with conservation. I mean, I did. There is a change of use issue, given it's currently a public house. And he did raise that. I said, well, I can't speak for the parish council, but given that the pavilion has been built now, I can't particularly see that there would be a view that we would object to a change of use. But, you know, that will come when it comes, as it were. We'll make that decision then. And I think he's actually talking about, you know, apartments or even the single dwelling.
I mean, really, that's the only way you can go, because it is going to be down to what he can actually do there.
Yeah.
Because being grade 2 listed and having the current state of being a public house,
Yeah.
in that position, he can't do an awful lot with it.
No, I mean, I also took the liberty of saying that I felt that the parish council's main concerns would be the fabric of the building that, needs to be restored because it's a signature building in the village. And secondly, that whatever use is made of it, that there was going to be adequate parking for that purpose. And I have to say, he did push back a little bit on that, pointing out that as a public house, they can park pretty much where they want.
If you can get that one through Milton Keynes planning,
well, no, he won't need to, you see.
Oh, not with its current
status. But I think if it is a change of use, then I think it would fall into the planning policy guidelines on parking, or the SPD rather, and that would require a certain number of spaces, depending on how many apartments and so on it is.
I don't bother too much about that in Wolverton.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So shall I leave 17 on?
So I think you can remove that from 17. That's an update for everybody. And then the highways, we do need to go through them again. I mean, it is.
I have marked out the corner at the top of North Street that I reported. The granite sets that have come out.
Really?
Yeah, but whether they do anything more, but they've put some paint down. Been out at least.
Yeah, sure.
Be nice to get one off the list.
I can't remember whether I circulated it more widely, but I did. There was a day when the village was virtually cut off. It was a Thursday before last
You
night.
did say.
And I did write a relatively strong email to highways and said, it's not acceptable. Appreciate one is of West Northants. But it was also Havisham and Hanslope Road or Castlethorpe Road in Hanslope, all closed, and people were literally just driving round. And actually, the only way you could get in was by Newport Pagnell. And I think I did circulate to councillors the response, and it was that they have got very limited powers to stop utilities actually doing this. But it was pretty disgraceful, really. It left us in a very difficult position. As I had a lot of complaints. I really did have a lot of complaints. Okay, we'll review these and see where we stand. I think. Right. There's a Ward Councillors report.
Yes. I was going to mention that the road closure actually didn't really mention, so I'll leave that.
Is anything you can add to it?
No, basically, it's what we always get told that utilities basically that's what they can do about things. So.
I did, by the way, for information, I was talking to Anne King, who's the quantity surveyor at Hickford's, who obviously do a lot of this work. And I said, why is it that they're closing the roads all the time now? It didn't used to be like this. And he said, well, it's basically health and safety. He said, in the past, you put up a couple of cones and hope the workmen didn't get hit. And nowadays, they take a rather more rigorous view on this, and they just close the road to protect the workmen.
Huge expense as well, because of
what, putting up?
well, closing
Traffic
the road
management.
is a lot more expensive.
No, it doesn't cost them anything. They just close it, they give notice.
No, it's the traffic lights thing when they have to.
Yeah, traffic management.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, obviously there's no real change on the traffic lights issue at the moment, and they just will be there until the investigation and works are taking place.
Yeah. Can you also liaise with Ian McCord and see if there's any urgency? Ian McCord is their opposite number in West Northants.
Yes, we will do. And see, we'll chase up again. Last time we had no real updates. So
Yeah.
I know they're in the middle of an election at the moment, so
Yeah, I mean, the other thing which honestly I don't know how practical this is, but a number of people have mentioned, would it be possible to get a weight limit put on that bridge or on those bridges? And I don't know whether, frankly, agricultural vehicles just need to come that way, or whether other deliveries just need to, but it is, I mean, that's what's causing the damage, isn't it?
I can ask. I know that it's normally quite difficult to get them to do anything because I know there's been tried elsewhere.
But it might be cheaper than a new bridge.
You think so? The street light issue you mentioned last time on the side of the schools, I know we've spoken about it already. It appears to have been an internal council thing where, because it's on the side of the school, it has to go to the estate team rather than highways for fixing. So hopefully that has now found its way to the correct team.
Yes, I mean, the resident opposite did point out that Milton Keynes have been repairing that for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And to suddenly say, oh, it's not ours and we're not doing it anymore, does seem very high-handed.
Well,
They seem to admit it is theirs, but it's just their estate team rather than highways team. So I don't know why.
We'll leave you to have fun with that. But
Yeah.
we'd like it fixed for next winter.
Yeah. And then a more sort of Milton Keynes wide thing for anyone who travels into the city centre, you might have seen that there's a consultation out at the moment to remove the remaining free parking spaces. So there aren't many left, but there are a few sort of 2-3 hour free parking in the city centre of Milton Keynes. There's currently consultation to remove that and replace it with paid parking. So there's a consultation out at the moment if anybody wants to have their opinion on that.
I didn't even know there were any, to
Is
be
that
honest.
outside Marks and Spencer?
There are some
There
outside
are
Marks,
some on the escape as well, and down where the sort of Iceland used to be, that's been.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It costs them more to decide what to do and to
that-
keep the revenue they'll get through.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a note which I think actually came from Leo Dunwoody, who was in consultation with James Williamson and on the new city plan, and I've just took the email and put it into a note, or Jackie did. But basically it's just sort of trundling its way through, but it doesn't appear that there's any indication for development on this side. And fortunately, our new MP is very keen on the idea of a wetlands corridor running along the Ouse Valley, which would stop development coming across, except at great expense. So we can but hope.
And the point I've made with that is that it's not being done in an open fashion. There is no plan visible, and you can't see any progress in the plan. So you can't see how they're progressing in actually determining this new plan.
Have you followed up these two links that are in the?
I think I did the other day, but
Yeah. I mean,
other things.
It does say that the papers for the meeting can be followed up. It gives a link.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah,
But I mean, it should be completely open.
yeah. And the other thing is, we are fortunate that Richard Pryor, the chair of Havisham, is now the parish's representative on the Planning Cabinet Advisory Group.
Oh, good.
So if you do have any questions that we would like asking, to engage with him. Last time I spoke to him about it, which wasn't that long ago, again, he said there wasn't a particular risk to us in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. Shall we move on to Furtho Pit then? Basically, we've got in the papers there are just the Frampton's presentations, which, as far as I can see, basically said, well, we've looked at highways and we've looked at surface water, and our consultants say it's all right.
What land do they live in? Lala.
Have
Have they ever been on the 508?
I will suspend the meeting to allow Peter and Tony to vent in that.
I see that they've also put in a planning application for effectively what they already had an outline permission for. So the big warehouses, which they've been going for, and the Stocksley House and trucks thing, the area is already zoned for development, a bit like sort of Wolverton Mill, smaller industrial units.
Yeah.
And I did see from the papers that they've actually put in a planning application for that now.
I think the problem with the objection is that the principle of industrial development on that site was accepted and included in the local plan.
Yeah.
So you can't object in principle, you have to object in detail that various aspects of it are in breach of planning policies.
So and that was the whole Stock 3000 trust thing was about building a 1 million square foot warehouse. But I thought maybe I misunderstood this, that they'd actually now put a planning application for the smaller industrial units, so not the big million square foot unit. I thought I actually saw that in the paper, but I may have misunderstood that.
Well,
I don't recall.
sorry?
I don't recall seeing it.
No.
Well, I looked at what's on the
It's 9 words.
papers, and it looked
Okay,
Like-
fine. Well, I may have misunderstood that. Anyway, the open forum bit, what I wrote about, which I just wanted to bring the attention, that because I think eventually something is going to be built there, whether it's the huge 1 million square foot warehouse or not, which South Northampton appear to be supporting, I just wanted to remind everybody that the road which runs past the navigation and the bridges and the junction at the top where we have all the accidents and everybody's sort of saying it's a dangerous junction, all sit within Northants, not technically within Milton Keynes, and this parish is part of Milton Keynes, is that there must be, I assume, a whole huge amounts of money coming from the developer to West Northants in section 106 or whatever the equivalent is now. And I just wanted to ask the question, the extent to which the parish council and indeed Milton Keynes were getting involved in whatever South Northants were intending to spend that money on. Because I think, sort of some road improvements, there was a suggestion that actually you could make that road permanently traffic light controlled, which would give you one lane of traffic and then presumably a smaller lane for a footway and or cycleway. Seemed to me that had we considered whether or not there was any money available from that development, if and when it went forward, because given that it's a road to nowhere for them, we're highly unlikely to get any money out of their hands to any other way.
Yeah.
Let's stop.
Right, let me try and deal with that. Firstly, I don't know whether West Northants is using any money or something for community infrastructure levy still. But whatever, it does mean that there is money which would be available to West Northants, not Milton Keynes Council. I think you are raising an important point about the road junctions from Yardley Road and indeed down to the navigation, and in particular the junction of Yardley Road and the A508, which has been a bone of contention literally since I have been a councillor, so that's 17 years or whatever. And I actually have still got plans drawn up by Milton Keynes Council to widen that junction, which has to be on the Furtho Farm side because there are pipelines and utilities on our side. And Furtho Farm, I think the land is actually owned by Oxford University, were prepared to give up some land to widen that junction. I think that would be a very good use of the money, as well as, of course, the triangle where most of those accidents actually occur. Now, having said that, and I think it would be worth, Liam, if that could be fed into conversations with Ian McCord. That's the positive side. The negative side is that S106 money has got to be used for the purposes of making a proposed development acceptable. And that usually means that it has to be used for, if it's highways money, for doing something on the highways around the development to improve flow. And they will, of course, be having to do quite a lot there. I mean, I think most of our objection is the way that the T-junction will flow onto the A508 and really cause, a lot of difficulty for traffic. And I personally would rather see the thing go directly onto the roundabout because that would, you know, take it away from us. But whether that's, you know, possible or not, I have just no idea. But the point I'm really making is that S106 or SIL monies would have to be used for the purposes of making that development, you know, a compliant with planning policies.
Acceptable, and the argument that I was seeking to raise on that is the fact that the moment that the A508 gets closed for any reason, somebody turns out of the development and goes, oh my God, I can't go this way, and turns right to Cosgrove and left down Station Road, because they're looking probably at their sat nav as the quickest way to the to the M1. So I was wondering whether there's an argument that at least some kind of weight restriction, lorry restriction, sort of some kind of improvement to those roads, which you could link in with the fact that it was important to control traffic on those roads in circumstances which are inevitable when the A508 is going to be closed, whether it's for accident repair or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think if we could ask Liam if he could raise that with him according this general discussion about the boundary. And I suspect that's probably as much as we can do. Is there any other councillor want to comment on this?
I think the bridge, the weight restriction on the bridge that's friendly would be good argument, doing a weight limit on it with Northampton, West Northampton. It's all in their area, isn't it? Not in the
I just kind of thinking that, there's rumours, I don't know whether they're true or not, about there being a housing estate going in, sort of somewhere around there as well, sort of
Around where?
the Stony roundabout. Yeah. I don't think it's active at the moment, but I mean, but the moment you get one development, you're going to get another and another, but I just I just want to raise, I think, all be aware of the issues, and if we're not going to stop it, and we've got little locus to sort of say, we don't agree with any of this, but at least we're trying to take advantage of it where we can.
Yeah, I think it's a long time since I read the local plan, but I think there is quite a lot of housing actually zoned for Old Stratford.
Okay, well look, I think we take your point, Peter. We'll ask Liam if he can handle it, and thank you very much for that suggestion. That is very constructive. Thank you. Yeah. Right, are we done on this point? Yeah. Okay. In that case, we'll move on then to planning applications. 5.1, as I mentioned in the introduction, has actually been approved. I think Jackie asked us if we wanted to have an extraordinary meeting. We declined. The Pavilion is our own. So 44 and 45, have you commented on this?
Well, only online. Only when I circulated.
Yeah, the mirror.
Yeah.
I mean,
We haven't actually discussed it.
right. I mean, the comments that I made, I think, certainly exchanged emails with Dave on it, was that I thought that the porticos really on the front were completely out of character with the rest of the Chequers, and that we should ask for something more modest that would be in keeping. And the other point was that where you have an extension running back from a main roof, normally the extension is just very slightly lower than the main roof, rather than actually having them both at the same height. And I do remember an application at School Lane where we did ask the applicant to just do that, and aesthetically it is better, I think. And that they did do that. In fact, today I was only noticing somewhere else. I think in Thrupp Close, some of the houses where they've got extended at the back, the roof line is just very slightly lower on the extension to make sure it becomes clear which is the main building and which is the extension. Those are my two comments. Any other comments on?
No, I think the only comeback I have on that is that they're basically rebuilding the house from scratch.
Yeah,
So when we're talking about an extension, it really is rebuilding the whole building.
Yeah.
So it's not going to look like an extension anyway.
yeah, it will in terms of the team. I mean, some of the
Yeah.
ones in Thrupp Close actually were part of the original building, but they're still with a slightly lower roof line. Any other comments? Yeah. Would it? Well, in that case, can I propose that those two comments are put in? I mean, I think the first one on the porticos on the front,
Yeah.
I think we should say, you know, very strongly, we feel very strongly. And I think on the roof line, I think we would observe, rather than be quite so hard.
Yeah.
We've got to get here quick. Still cracking on with
But they haven't got planning permission yet.
They got it.
They got it. Yeah. I know they're doing work in the gardens.
Yeah.
So how should I word it?
Well, we believe that the proposed front porticos are out of keeping with other properties in the Chequers, and that a more modest design would be appropriate. And we would also note that the roof line of the rear T, we'll call it that, is designed at the same level. We believe we would observe that most other buildings of this style have a slightly lower roof line to distinguish them from the main building. It's fantastic you've got shorthand, Jackie. You've got all that, haven't you? Is that okay? Are we all happy with that? Right. 57 Thrupp Close.
That was refused because of, for two reasons. The fire officer thought the actual increase in volume of the house was rather larger than it should be, and also because of the roof line was too high.
Yeah.
Revised plans have come in with a lower roof line with door instead of solid. But it seems to me that the same amount of area of houses is the same as the plan refused.
Yeah. I mean, I
We
will
didn't
be.
have any objections to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I will be honest. This is Simon's house.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the location of that house, I personally don't think it would be a particular issue, but
No.
does any councillor want to raise it as an objection?
No?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm kind of adjacent to it, and it's absolutely nothing to me.
Okay, all right, so no objection
you.
then. And a pre-application stage submission on moving water down the Great Union Canal from 7%. I mean, honestly, I know. Does anyone feel confident? I mean, I just thought if they're moving a lot of water, it's going to make it very hard for the narrow boats to move against the current.
Yeah, it's not very good with that.
Is it a surfing opportunity?
Well, with it, given the Sea Scouts and then to be starting up in the area, they could end up further away than they expected. Okay, so no comment, yeah. Right, moving then on the previous planning applications, 616263, they're all refused or approved, and 64 is the Furtho Pit application, and it's I think this is the same number as it's always been, isn't it? And it's the
I don't think it's changed.
yeah. It is a 2025 number.
Oh, yeah.
So Peter
That's good,
could potentially be right, but I mean, I think we've dealt with what we can in terms of asking
Did they
Liam.
set that meeting so that there was 8 smaller ones and 1 larger unit? I recall, but I'm not.
They didn't tell us very much about anything.
No, I think they might be, this might be right.
Yeah, I think because it was the bit where I remember the erection of 9 employment units, which was very much going back to the idea that it was the it was like Wolverton Mill rather than, you know, sort of, transport and warehousing units, which was.
Unit one was still big, but then they said it, in fact, it looked big, but it wasn't big in comparison to other units in the area.
Yeah, I mean, that one that's in the corner of the A508 and the A5, is humongous, isn't it?
That is the critical thing they must have. That's the thing that's only one. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, the trouble is, it doesn't.
Truck.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll go over this, and yeah. I mean, yeah, right. We'll just repeat what we've said already. Okay, shall we move on then to 7.1, the public excluded part 2 of the meeting, and we've got these quotes. I propose that. Can I have a seconder, please? Which is Steve, all in favour? Yeah. To raise residents' concerns with Hanslope surgery over problems trying to book appointments, Russell.
Yes, there's been a lot of concern, particularly on the Hanslope Facebook page and also from Castlethorpe residents, about the situation of surgery, although recently it has improved.
It has.
Whilst there were, well, website's been down for a month or so. There's still not up again. You can only book up phone appointments on that anyway. So you've got to actually go into the surgery really, or wait for ages on the phone.
Yeah.
There have been days when people have queued up before 8 o'clock for emergency appointments, being told that there aren't any available to come back the next day, which is unacceptable. And there is still quite a delay in the time it takes between sending a prescription request in and actually getting it.
Is there? I thought that had improved quite significantly.
It used to be just 7 days, but it's down to 4 days, but even so, it's still quite.
Yeah, but it always was a few days, wasn't it?
I mean, their surgery in Grange Park, you can get the prescriptions around the corner.
Yeah. What would you, I mean, I think we're all concerned here, about it. I think we've all had complaints and many of us have experienced it ourselves.
I have drafted a letter, I actually gave up the world to live when I was drafting it, so it's quite a short letter, but it could use as the basis of a letter.
Do you want to just read it out and then we'll decide whether we can adopt it?
Addressed to Dr. Eunice, I think is the instruction.
Yeah.
And it's as I've been instructed by the parish council to write to you regarding the concerns of many residents of Castlethorpe about the current situation at Hanslope surgery. They're finding it difficult to arrange appointments as the website has been down for several weeks and there is still a significant waiting time on phone lines most of the day. In addition, some residents who've queued outside the surgery and took over to 8 a.m. on certain days, I've been told that there are no emergency appointments available that day. And others have said that there's still a delay between ordering their prescriptions and actually receiving them. There are other things which we'll put out there, and then send it, we regularly just let us know what plans the surgery has to mitigate these problems.
Okay. I mean,
they have got a new system of booking Saturday morning surgeries. Appointments.
and I think they are also directing people to other surgeries.
Yeah, so if you haven't got a car or if you're relying on the bus, it's impossible to get to any other surgeries.
Well,
that's quite a long walk.
Yeah.
The phones were
does anyone else want
down
to
as well.
comment, or shall we just move to
The phones were down again, were down totally.
I'm sorry.
The phones were down as well. There was a
Were they?
post on Facebook that the phones were down and they were trying to get that sorted.
I mean, I don't really want us to try and write the letter as a council. So could we say that we'll adopt what Russell has proposed in principle and let him work it through with Jackie? I think it would be nice to acknowledge that there has been some improvement in the prescription side, because there definitely has, and you know, I think he would push back on that if we push too hard, you know, on all fronts. I would say that our MP has been doing or trying to get meetings with all the surgeries in this constituency, and is basically just being blocked, I suppose, by Hanslope. You just cannot get a meeting with
Like
someone.
everyone else.
Yeah, Andy's on the phone at 8 in the morning.
Is he queue number 143?
Just like the website.
When he gets to one, he gets cut off.
So, I mean, he is very aware of the complaints that have been going around. And I don't know where Alison is on this, because she was acting as the kind of interface.
He did post on there on Facebook.
Yes, she's been working quite closely with them. I think she's actually just messaged me to say that she'll come along on the 12th to the annual parish meeting, so she can talk a bit more about the doctor's surgery and everything. So,
Okay.
What about inviting them again to the annual meeting?
We could do, couldn't we?
I mean, he did turn up last year, didn't
Yeah, we could say, let's put that in, our annual meeting is that, if
he? It may save writing a letter.
well, no, I think put it in the letter and say, we have got an annual parish meeting on the 12th. You'd be very welcome to attend. If we say 7:15, that would allow us to get through the first bit of business, and then you wouldn't have to wait around. You could do his bit and go off, yeah? All right. Anything else? No, that's very good. That's a good idea.
Can I? So, on the point, sorry, going back a little bit on the Furtho Pits, that PLN 2025-0296 has been added because it wasn't on the December. I haven't checked back on the agenda, it wasn't there. So this PLN 2025-0296 has been added.
Yeah. So what that is, that's a planning application, as Peter said.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
whereas the previous
right.
one was
Yeah.
actually the previous one was the environmental impact assessment.
okay, but just
Yeah.
thought I'd just have a look back, and yes, that has
Okay.
that's
Well,
appeared.
I think we have kind of discussed that one. We are. Right, let's move on then. Kay, you're up next. Parking bays on South Street.
It's just I've had a request for it to be carried on between New Road and Maltings with the same issues of parking. Just that area there. I've had a request from somebody from a resident in New Road to say, could we do the same there?
Right.
And it has been successful, I have to say, on South Street. I think it's a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, I think this will come down to a matter of cost, if I might say.
Get
so.
that.
We got a really good deal for what you asked,
Yeah, because they were out there anyway.
And if we can get a similar price,
Yeah.
I think we'll probably bite their hand off.
Yeah.
If they come back with silly numbers, as they have done in the past.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could say that if they're in the area, could they offer us the same deal as last time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I write to
Naveed.
Yeah.
Naveed is very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, she's lovely, so.
Only useful person in High Road.
You can say what it's successively been.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I presume they've still got to come out and paint things, because the 20s on the floors and things like that, they're still very, very faded.
It's only a few £100s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
do your
200 and something
so
or
if
other.
if we get that, can we basically resolve that if the price is at that level?
Yeah.
That we will just authorise Jackie to go ahead and do it. If it's significantly higher, then I think we would like it to come back for a decision at Parish Council.
Yeah.
And I would like it noted, this is from a resident, this is not from me.
Okay.
Would it be a similar number?
No, it's far less.
Oh, less.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know actually. Who walks up there? It's less, isn't it? It's not as long as our area.
They
It's
should
just the
also-
houses where the terraces are.
They should also rehatch the areas just coming out from New Road.
The diagonals, which everybody parks on
Yeah.
purpose. The diagonals are fairly prominent. They do, it's obviously that they
What we
just,
should do is put a little concrete bollard there.
nails.
It is very, I mean, residents have said that when they're trying to get out of New Road, it is actually quite dangerous because they cannot see.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, we had a very useful highways manager who actually was out of area and stayed at the Tate's B&B. So I got him on a number of occasions. That's how we got the school ahead signs, you know, on either bit. And I walked him down there and I showed him it and I said, you know, we need to do something. That's why I put some hatching in.
Well, they park at the top of Maltings as well. That's still an issue. And I would have said the same thing probably, that when they're coming out of Maltings.
Yeah.
I've never driven out of Maltings, so I don't know, but they park right in the corner there. But I mean, it's an issue with not enough parking spaces because you've got nearly a whole road with no parking. So it's a road and a half, in fact. So, yeah.
Okay, well, there we go.
Anyway, so there you
go. We're all happy with that, aren't we? We'll take it up, and it's the same price. Don't feel obliged to stay, Peter. We won't take offence of you. Right. 7.4, I'll take it. It's just to agree participation in Bee Day 80th anniversary by lighting a beacon at the sports ground. Just really rather that was under the auspices of the parish council. It is actually our beacon, and it does mean that our public liability insurance will cover the event. So
who's going to erect it? That's the two main erectees are not going to be present.
You won't like the answer. Luke.
Luke.
Bish bash bosh.
All is going to have to do is
Yeah, I mean, we have all had a meeting and believe that it could be safely put. You know how the exercise equipment is in a kind of arc.
Yeah,
it could go in the inner bit of that arc, and then security tape right around that whole area to keep people away from it. I will have a bit more of a discussion with Luke about whether, particularly if it's windy, whether we just move it into Castle Field. And then there's a stile just at the back of the tennis courts. So people, if it was just in there, people could go there, see it, and then just pop back to the pavilion. I do know that, I mean, the reason it's out there is because when we had the coronation, you know, a year ago, and we invited, you know, see if someone would put on an event here in the village hall, and we didn't get anyone to do that. So I have asked Claire if she'll do something, and she's got bunting. I think she's got some music as well. So you know, it should make it a bit of a village occasion, and hence move the beacon up there.
I take it we're talking with Claire about everything else about the beacon, about where it's being positioned.
Yes, she's
in on the working group.
Yeah.
Do we need to, because that's the hymn, isn't there, that we've been asked,
Well, I'm relying on Luke and Steve to lead off.
Do you want me to print some sheets with it?
We probably will do, yes. I can't remember what the hymn is.
I vow to be my country.
I vow to be my country.
Oh yeah, Sex Pistols do version.
Not the Sex
Peter, you must have a good voice.
Yeah.
We've got a microphone up there as well.
I have an excellent speaking voice. You would be wise not to ask me to sing.
Actually, I'll tell you what, you know, thinking of people who have got a good voice, and Stuart Tate's got a really good voice. I wonder if he might be prepared to lead it. I might have a word with him.
Tony Rice.
Oh, Tony Rice, yeah.
Famous singer.
Actually, Tony might be.
Yeah.
Tony would be a very good.
And it's very close as well.
Yeah.
Probably could do with his background.
Could you ask him?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know him better than me.
Yeah,
And, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will,
How many song sheets?
You're right to ask him.
I'll talk to you then. Right. Okay, so we're all happy with Parish Council sponsoring the beacon.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm
And
sorry, can I just go back to 7.3. Do I need to be proposed because you said about if the price is
okay, all right, well, Kay is proposing,
proposing.
someone to second that, that would be Russell.
Yeah.
In agreement, thank you. 7.5, granted permission for Cricket Cup to cut back the beach hedge.
Yeah, we've had this on the agenda and we are into birds' nests in the season, but we think that we should be okay as long as we search diligently for nests beforehand and make sure we don't disturb anyone. But the cricket club say that they'll actually make all the arrangements and they'll actually pay for it. But Jackie raised a good point about what happens if they kind of damage the path in any way. So we'll have to actually get them to commit to make good anything that's that's broken from it. But I don't like to take that edging, but I can see exactly what you mean, that the sign of light from the kind of seating area on that side of the pavilion and the bench just by it, that all they can see is a hedge.
Yeah. I mean,
The defibrillator side.
It is, it's just to take that 2 metres.
yeah, I mean, I think all of us, you know, don't particularly like hedge being taken back. I guess so. I mean, I'd actually like it trimmed more so you can get 2 people side by side down that path.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a separate matter. Jackie on Water Point Albury took out a bush on the other side so we could put in that bollard lighting. It was a hell of a job. They do need to take it out properly, because otherwise it'll become a tripping hazard.
Well, I mean, it'll have to be safe.
Yeah.
After they've done it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that, and that's
They're not
what.
just going to cut it off, are they? They're
No, that's what messed up. They need to be taken out
It needs to be taken out without damaging the.
without damaging the path. Yeah. So if I make the point to David Finelli that, well, we haven't had the vote, but assuming the vote says that we'll give permission,
Well,
we'll
I
give
think,
permission on the grounds that they leave it in a good state, they repair any damage it's done, and there are no tripping hazards.
And I would like, by all means, have the conversation, but I would then like Jackie to write formally to him.
Yeah.
And for him to acknowledge that before, you know, permission, that's a condition of permission, Do you want to propose that then?
I'll propose that, yeah.
The second?
I don't think it needs.
Dave, and all in favour, and
Can I abstain on this one?
you'll abstain, I have to say I'm
not overly.
not very keen on it, but there we are. Right, shall we move then on to the RFO payment schedule?
I can't find it in the file.
Why not put it in?
No, you haven't.
All right, it's not that.
I haven't put my laptop in. Got it, but to read it out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, shall I just?
Yeah, just look out so you can see it. Yeah.
Right, so we've got the usual payments to Jackie for the salary, printer costs, planning fees, key cutting, village hall cleaning, usual amount, bus shelter cleaning, the information box, that was for
That's a
the
delay.
dogs.
That was for the invoice that went to the old email address, fine print.
Okay.
Plaques.
Yeah, it's 257. Cleaning products, national insurance, traffic technology. Oh dear, it's £1,000.
That was insurance claim. We have that money in.
Oh, we've had that money in, okay.
They've only just finished, they've only just put it back up, so.
Charlie Needham, for doing some 60 quid for diesel. And Toad Landscapes, first cut. And I assume the 491 is part of the schedule that's now been agreed with Toad for cutting the grass.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm looking at you.
No, I don't know,
It's wrong,
right,
yeah.
I've got seen the payment schedule.
Well, no, I'm saying it's 491.
491,
Does that ring a bell?
no.
Is that because it's wrong or because there is a
Because-
bill?
because I'm not prepared
You
for
missed
it.
the bill. Yeah, that is in accordance with the contract.
So
Yeah. I mean, if it's according to the contract, we did.
And then all the rest are just the usual, direct debits for, charges and.
There's a new one now for the bank charges.
Yeah.
Start charging bank.
£6 a night. It's an interesting number.
I think
Right,
that's
on the basis of that, could you put this
Yeah.
into the folder?
Mhm.
Any questions on what I've said? Do you want to know any more numbers or
No.
anything? In that case, I'll propose that we do approve it. Can I have a seconder, please? To Steve, all in favour? Next item is a request for correspondence, a request for a donation received from Scouts Milton Keynes to support keeping scouting accessible to all young people in Milton Keynes. I mean, we normally just note this applicant for the donations. I mean, if it was the Hanslope, the Castlethorpe and Hanslope troop, I would be more inclined to be supportive, but
Yeah,
I think not more generally. Anyone wish to differ?
that's our policy, really, unwritten policy,
Yes.
just look after local.
So if I get any more of these in the future, should I not even bother putting them on the agenda?
No, you ought to.
It's worth
I mean,
noting.
there might be one or two that
Yeah.
we do go to.
Thank you.
Okay.
I thought it was Hanslope and Castlethorpe.
Sorry?
I thought the Sea Scouts were Castlethorpe as well.
No, this isn't it. This is somebody.
No, he's got what he calls the Hanslope and Castlethorpe Cubs and Beavers, which Darren is a leader, which I always call the Castlethorpe and Hanslope Cubs and Beavers. They're now starting the new Castlethorpe Sea Scouts because it really is just in Castlethorpe. You haven't
Yeah.
got sea in Hanslope. You've got now in Castlethorpe. And I think, it might be.
Okay, so this is not from the Sea Scouts for
This is not-
Castlethorpe.
this is
Oh,
just
okay.
the Scout gives them-
Okay, ignore me.
Okay.
Most people do.
A response has been received from Sustrans regarding the width of the path, which I think we've all seen.
Yeah.
It just said.
And it's been on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something else that came in today. Oh, the paddle.
Paddle talk.
Right, so an email came in this morning, which I think.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's not on there, yeah. I just thought, I wouldn't mind us just discussing this before it just goes off to the Sports Association. And the reason is that I don't know anything about paddle, but I'm told it's very noisy because of the balls and the solid rackets that they use. And given that trouble we had with the Pavilion, and the noise when there actually was a lack of noise.
Sorry, what's this?
The game, it's like tennis, but they play it with paddle boards.
What, in the tennis court?
Yes.
They've written to ask.
They've written to ask whether we could do it.
Consider having a court
Oh,
built.
okay, I haven't seen
But it's
that.
noisy apparently,
All right,
is not what.
I'll suspend the meeting
They
to
want.
allow Mr. Clerk to.
Can I just, only because I sound as if I'm the only person about town who's ever played paddle.
Yes. And probably the only one who actually knows what it is.
Yeah, it's played on a half-size tennis court, normally enclosed, so it's not something you could just go and do. You have to build the paddle court because it's got a glass or acrylic back, acrylic sides, etc. It is somewhat noisier than tennis will be, but that is mitigated by the fact that it's it is played in an enclosed court, albeit without a big fault. They had two paddle courts where I used to live at Stoke Park, and we lived 800 yards away, and I don't think I ever I
I thought it might be an outdoor.
it is outdoor, but sort of it's a surrounded court. I think if you were to say that you were going to put one in the middle of the village, I think that would be one thing. But a paddle court up where you're playing cricket with sort of whatever it is on Willow, etc. I wouldn't have thought it's a level on Willow. I wouldn't have thought it's massively different.
So they actually have to put a
A bit
building.
more frequent.
It's an enclosed court. Think of it as a squash court without a roof, with two sides. So you play it over a net.
Does it have a back wall,
It has a back wall as well, yes.
like squash?
Room anyway,
Yes.
so.
I can't, I'm just trying to think where on earth you could put it on these, in the sports field.
Well,
On the wicket.
You haven't got that.
That looks like an ordinary tennis court there.
It's glass.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that keen, to be honest, because I can't see, well, on the bay, I don't mind having a paddle court, and if there's no noise coming out, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I just can't think where it could go.
It's not very attractive either, is it? On that lovely sports field. Look,
What about in the fish ponds? They could deal with all the architecture as well.
There. It's
yeah, good luck with historic England.
quite a structure.
Would you be able to find anyone to play with, Peter?
Well, Jackie's just made a good point. I mean, what about the fish ponds?
I didn't think about this.
I mean, I have a hell of a job with English.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
That would be there.
But that's their.
Yeah.
I know because I saw something on the Hanslope site, but they were also suggesting using some of the leftover 106 money that they have to put a court up on the wreck at Hanslope.
And they've got the space that's not actually occupied by any other.
Because again, I think there's an old tennis court or something
That they don't use.
which
Oh,
is
that's
not
ideal.
being used. So I'm not sure that we would.
Okay, well, look, shall we ask, sorry?
Is this man from an association or something?
Yeah, well, it actually came in with, the title was, from or a paddle MK, so it sounded like it was actually
And would they pay for all this?
they'd have to,
Yeah. But I just
I'm
think-
sure we've had something like this, and I don't know if it was pickleball or paddleboard, and they were offering money for it.
Very similar.
Well, look,
I think we've got to be really careful though what we do put up there,
Yeah.
because we've already put the pavilion, and some people in Thrupp were obviously worried about that, and the pavilion is going very well, that's fine, but then we had another facility up there. I just think we need to be very careful.
well, I agree there mustn't be nuisance,
Yeah.
but, it is a recreation ground.
Yeah, no, it is.
Sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is for sport.
But
Have you
having
s-
said that.
It's not a very
I
attractive
actually
thing
don't
either.
think there's room up there. And
No.
what I would, rather than passing this on to CSA, I would suggest that we ask Jackie to reply that, there just isn't room at the sports ground. There is, a possibility of the fish ponds. There really isn't noise, is there? Because there are houses near the fish ponds. Like
That's right.
yours. It's not.
You
we're not-
need to go onto YouTube and have a look at a game of paddle
It's
and turn the sound up and see what it's like.
Yeah.
That
it's
will
not a
make sense.
silent sport. It's that you will get more noise than you get with tennis.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can compare it to cricket, because cricket is like every now and again,
Yeah, this
they hit the
is
ball,
not-
but this is like bang, bang,
Well, we
bang,
can't
bang,
compare it
bang,
to
bang.
anything because we haven't got a clue what it is, have we?
Yeah, exactly. So I've just looked on YouTube.
I think I'll change my mind on this. If it's going to be like that, there is a house. It could only go at the Gobbis end of the fish ponds. And there is a house right next to it.
There is,
Yeah.
Gordon's.
Mm.
yeah.
And I think that would be unacceptable if it's going to be bang, bang, bang the whole time.
Particularly in Hanslope, we're going to have one as well.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got the space up at Hanslope, which it sounds like they
Probably
have.
about 4 in the whole country.
Yeah,
All right, shall we just say, you know, unfortunately there isn't room?
yeah.
Okay, is there any other correspondence?
No.
No. Okay, in that case, I've already
Crime
mentioned,
stats,
sorry?
the crime stats.
Oh, the crime stats, there weren't any crimes.
One harassment and one criminal.
There was, yeah.
Oh, there was.
Yeah.
Hmm,
You've got to stop harassing people, okay, Phil? Because it's just putting up.
I think the harassment, I've got a feeling I do know what that is, and it was serious. Anyway, there we are.
But if it's what I'm thinking of, that must be more than harassment.
Well, you never know with these things, do you? You don't.
And that's heavy harassment if it's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, I must say, it would be useful to Tilly. Could you make sure, ask Tilly to come along to the annual parish meeting?
Yeah.
I think she's invited, but I think she's always working.
She sends her apologies.
Yeah.
She sent
Yeah.
apologies to the last.
I've seen her apologies every time, so that she can't make
So
it.
she does normally, they do normally come to the annual meeting, don't they?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
make sure that they know about that.
Yeah.
Busy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closed session, I've got something more to say about that.
Right. So I said at the beginning, the next meeting is the
Oh,
12th.
sorry, we're in any other business?
Oh, sorry. Okay, other business. Yes.
Yeah, I've got them. Right, we've had the padlock busted on the tennis court several times. Now Luke suggested
Several times.
Yeah, I mean it's happened certainly more than twice.
Yeah.
Not recently.
Yeah, but and there was a brick down by where the padlock had obviously been smashed. And it was Luke that suggested a more secure padlock with a kind of cover over it, things like that. But it came to we checked the CCTV, see if we could pick out any activity, and it's too far away for the motion sensors to kick in to detect the movement to actually trigger the camera. And we've got it set to only film when there's motion. So there's a choice. Do we want to leave that setting of engaging when there's motion, or leave it running all the time?
Well,
Can't you just put another camera on the network?
I think that that Gordon Fleming, who installed it, said that it was part of the license conditions that it had to be, the police wanted it 24, permanently running.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Gordon's obviously set it up, and he was aware of the setup like that. But it only comes on detecting motion.
Yeah.
At that distance.
Yeah.
Could you not put another camera on the network?
It may be full now. He's got so many cameras around the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I'm pretty certain it is full. I think it is. He's got all the slots full now.
Or move one then.
But I mean, we could talk to them about it. But if we can take that offline, I mean,
Okay.
Have you spoken to Phil Johnson about this proposed protection? Because it's a kind of covered latch which would stop you striking the padlock.
Well, all I've done is actually send Luke's suggestion onto Phil.
Yeah, but it was parish council that does it, won't it?
No, Phil is providing the padlocks.
Yeah, but to actually put it looks to me like a protective cover that would go over the top of where the padlock goes.
So to me, it looked like a unit with a padlock with a protective cover over it. It would just apply as a padlock.
My point is that it requires a structural alteration for the gate, like some welding.
Does it? I didn't get that impression, but I'm not practically minded, so.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a matter of, it's
Well-
just a bigger unit to actually put on as a padlock.
My point is, well, if Phil is happy to move on with that, you made that suggestion to him, see what he says. I've got a feeling he may come back and say, well, yes, I would like that, but it is, parish council is the landlord. And, could you put it on, please? Look, when I looked at the picture, I thought it was basically a design for where you could put an ordinary padlock in, but it was just a protective place.
Yeah,
that you couldn't
I
down.
mean, I agree, if there's anything structural to be done, it's the parish council that should pay for it.
So, all right, well, just carry on with that.
That sounds like a good idea to look into that, but is the whole area now more secure? It's open.
Well, I
There's
mean,
people that's not 24/7.
yeah, there are
Most of the time.
people there. I mean, we don't even know why anyone would break that open. I mean, the suggestion was it was to get a ball. Yeah.
So I wondered if we could put maybe a notice if you need access. For me or somebody.
But we suspect it happened in the dark, don't we?
Well, I don't think he did now, actually.
You don't?
Again. I don't think he did. Because the lights look like they come on further down to the farm.
Yeah. Glass. I mean, I'm just looking at the.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a look at it, because if it's complex, I wouldn't understand it anyway.
Suggesting, you see, so I think this bit gets
Well,
welded onto the gate, and then the tunnel,
it would need something substantial. wouldn't it?
yeah, and then you just put the padlock through that normally, but it stops you striking the padlock because it's protected.
Mm.
Anyway,
Okay, I'll drop Phil a message.
yeah,
And see what would need doing, and like say, if it needs something structural welding, it'll be parish council to
yeah.
ask Ollie to do it.
Well, Luke's got a welder,
In your drafts.
Buddy from the voting
You can put it
cost.
at the,
Right, any
it's
other
very big
business,
queue.
please?
Could I just say about assisted bin collections? I don't know if we have any residents that have their.
I do know.
They've been written to twice apparently by the council, but they need to reconfirm by the end of by the 18th, which I think is the end of this week, isn't it? That they want to carry on having their bins or help with their bins.
Perhaps that could go on
Otherwise they'll
Facebook.
be- Otherwise they'll be having to put their own stamp down.
Depends if they're on Facebook.
Yeah, if you could put it on Facebook. I mean, it is a problem
But
because
it's normally-
some people who may not be Facebook users. I do know one lady, and I'll make sure that she is told.
I mean, she might have done it, it's just a
Yeah.
reminder. We should have had 2 letters to remind her.
Okay.
And just again to mention that the cycle path is closing from the 6th of May.
Mm.
So for this more resurfacing work, it's going to be shut until July. I think we just need to keep that message out
So you
there,
might be able to ride your bike.
which is awkward with all the sheep as well. who've been- They said that if they don't spend the money, they have to send it back, and it's easier to do it this time of year when it's not so muddy.
Mm.
So they're
Oh,
doing it, so it's just going to be very.
How far are they going this time?
Actually.
So will they do the first bit and then up to Lodge Farm past the water town?
Think so, yeah, they're gonna finish up that sort of rate.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done the first bit. They've
Anyway.
done the sort of bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Nearer the
Any other
front.
business?
Yeah, just an observation, that was all. Is it ever possible to get a grant for play equipment? Because I was thinking at the Pavilion, what it actually needs is some kids' play equipment, because then the parents can sit in the garden and then watch their kids. Just a slide or a swing or a climbing frame, nothing major, maybe on the right-hand side as you come in, and then that would make it a really nice area.
Yeah.
But that's just a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the logic of putting
They mentioned quite a lot.
yeah.
Because I think that would be lovely, because,
Yeah.
sitting,
Because
it would give the kids
Friday,
something to do,
Tuesday,
because just
yeah.
kicking a ball around a field probably isn't enough.
Not use smoking them.
And they use the
Okay.
equipment, so.
Well,
Yeah, which they're not supposed to.
These
They're
are-
not supposed to.
And it's dangerous as well.
I mean, the thing is, that the timing wall was acquired by an application to National Lottery.
I know.
by the parish council. And we could say that we'd like to put some more
Yeah.
equipment in.
Yeah.
And apply for a grant, see
Yeah.
how that goes. These things aren't quick.
No, I get that. It's just a thought that it
yeah.
actually that would sort of just finish it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
If there was something for the kids to do.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do that, that would be for summer
That's great.
26.
Yeah.
Just lock them in there.
Yeah.
Mobile disco?
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Right, in that case, can we, I'll just remind it again that the next meeting is 7 o'clock on Monday, the 12th of May. It will start with the annual parish meeting. We then have the annual meeting of the council, which is the formal bit, and then the ordinary meeting. Okay, so that's the end of part one. So we have just got these quotes to look at. So, thank you for your stamina, gentlemen. Right, so I'll now close the live stream.